What's up, my little pretties? It's your mistress, the Queen of Lions, Shadow Lioness, or whoever you prefer to call me. And today, welcome back to another episode of Shadows and Pretties. So today, this is episode 69. The last episode I talked about was a movie called Lady and the Tramp. So I decided to go through, the Shadows and Pretties podcast, and I realized I have not touched a Disney movie, also known as Dinosaur. So yeah, I've been kind of wanting to do this movie, me talking about this movie for like a while now. It's actually a pretty interesting concept. So I'm going to definitely sit there and, basically this movie, from what I've seen, was actually a pretty well made movie for what it is. So this movie was, I guess you could say, that Disney's very first CGI movie that they made, which is a live action computer animated movie. Now, if you were born in the early 2000s and even the late mid 90s, you probably have remembered, seeing this movie on VHS pretty much. And so with that being the case, there is a series called Dinosaurs, but of course there are other ones which there is a video game based on the movie. There is like the Disney Animal Kingdom section of the Disneyland park, all that. So, of course, this follows a young iguanodon who is adopted and raised by a family of lemurs on a tropical island after surviving a devastating meteor shower. The family end up having to move out of their home and befriend with a herd of dinosaurs along the way, while journeying to the nesting grounds. So, unfortunately, they're being hunted down by predators such as, the Carchanosaurus and other dinosaurs. So, this is an idea that I'm gonna sit there and say, I'm basically, if you guys have not seen Dinosaur in a really long time, this is like kind of like a refresher for those who haven't seen it in a while. So, if you have not seen this movie, I'm gonna let you guys know I'm gonna be spoiling pretty much everything about this movie. So, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you click off this video right now and go watch another of my videos if you like. So, with that being said, the idea was then conceived around 1986 by Phil Trippett and Paul Verhoeven, where it was conceived as a darker, realistic film about dinosaurs. So the project underwent numerous interactions with multiple directors that they attached sometime in time around that corner. However, in 1994, Walt Disney feature animation began are computer generated, when most of the backgrounds are live action and filmed on a location. A number of backgrounds were found, such as the Americas of Asia and Tropius and, Angela Falls that appear in the film. With a budget around, maybe, I guess you could say, almost $130.5 million, Dinosaur was reportedly one of the most expensive computer animated films at the time. So Dinosaur was released sometime in May of 2000. Critics raised the film's opening sequence and realism of the animation, but criticized the story for the perfections and a lack of originality. So, of course, it became, the highest grossing film of 2000, but it was like the fifth one. So, that was in fifth place. So, let me go on with the plot of the story, and then I'll talk about, the development and etc. So, a Carchanosaurus attacks a herd of dinosaurs, destroying an iguanodon's nest, but a lone surviving egg is stolen by smaller predators, and a series of mishaps then is dropped on the island inhabited by prehistoric lemurs, who happen to be Pilo, the daughter of the Parashas Yar, the names of Hatch the baby Aladar, who raises them alongside with her daughter Siri, despite Yar's intentional objections. Several years later, a fully grown Aladar watches the lemurs take part of a main ritual, which Pilo's brother Zini is unsuccessful. So, moments after the ritual ends, they are interrupted by a meteor crashing into Earth, creating an explosive shockwave which destroys the island. So Aladar and Yara's family flee across the sea to the mainland, only to be the last survivors. Now they mourn for the others before moving on. While they're crossing the burned wasteland and are attacked by velociraptors, they, however, escape by joining multi-species of herd dinosaurs refugees, heading towards communal nesting grounds, as a fellow of a herd of the leader Kron, as they retreat to the end of the line and be friends with, Ema, who is like a stegosaurus kind of speak. And, of course, they approach an ankylosaurus named Earl and equally elderly be friends with Baleen, who is a Bronchiosaurus. In the group, they travel for days without water without water to the side of the lake, only to find seemingly dried up. So Kron orders the herd to move on and let the weakest perish, but Aladar stays behind with a sick Ema, and he and Baleen dig until they found some water, and then the rest of the herds follow. Of course, Kron's sister Nira, who is impressed by Aladar's compassion, begins to grow closer to him. So basically, Nira becomes, Aladar's friend, and then becomes love interest later on in the movie. So, like, if you've seen the movie, you probably remember this part. So, while Kron believes that he wants to take over, meanwhile, the two carnivores that have been attacking the herd, Kron's lieutenant, the Bruton, reports approaching predators after surviving an attack on the scouting mission. But however, Kron decides to usher the herd away from the lake, leaving Burton, Aladar, and the lemurs and the elderly dinosaurs behind. The group then takes shelter as the night falls, but puts the predators to catch up to them and attack. So Burton sacrifices his life to causes a cave that kills one of the Carcharodontuses, forcing the survivor to retreat. So the group ventures deeper into the cave, but they reach a dead end, and although Aladar briefly loses hope, Baleen uses her strength to smash through the wall, and they arrive at the nesting grounds on the other side. Ema notices the landslide has blocked their usual entrance to the valley, so Aladar rushes off alone to find Kron and lead the herd over to the landslide. However, unaware that a sheer drop on the other side, Kron attacks Aladar, taking Aladar's warning as a challenge to his leadership, until Nira is fed up with Kron's illogical behavior and intervenes. Realizes Kron's selfishness, the herd follows Aladar, while Kron stubbornly tries to climb the rocks himself. However, the hungry, Carcharodontus arrives, but Aladar, rallies with everyone who stand together to defend it. So the Carcharodontus is frightened off and pursues Kron instead, although Aladar and Nira rush to save him but fail to get there in time. As Aladar manages to push the enemy over the sheer drop to his death, Aladar and Nira mourn for Kron. And of course, they lead the rest of the herd to the nesting grounds. And sometime later in the film, a new generation of dinosaur hatches, among them Nira and Aladar's children. So that's basically what Dinosaur is basically about. And, it's a pretty good story for what it is. I know a lot of people, who grew up maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, probably have remembered, sitting there and probably read this and, the plot of it. It's actually pretty good. So, of course, the intentional idea for the film originated sometime in, I guess you could say, around 1986, but during the filming of RoboCop, which, of course, Phil Triplett recommend that they use some other directors to produce a dinosaur picture. Sure. But, of course, later on in the film, in 1988, the project began development in Disney's live-action division, which, of course, they originally planned to use stop-motion animation, techniques such as puppets, scale models, and miniatures. But the film's original main protagonist was a Scartosaurus named Woot, and the main antagonist was originally going to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex named Gronzi. But of course, with the small mammal herd such as Siri and a supporting character, the film was originally going to be much darker and more violent tone in a style to a nature documentary. After Woot's defeat Gronzi in a fight, the film would eventually end with, basically you could say the extinction of the dinosaurs. So basically the dinosaurs end up dying. Everyone dies basically, which will result in deaths of the main dinosaur characters. However, in 1990, Thomas G. Smith became more involved in the film and briefly became the director following Verhoeven's and Trippett's departure. Reflecting on the tenure, Smith said that Janie Rosenberg was still writing the script, but was in trouble as Disney wanted a cute story of dinosaurs talking, and I didn't like the idea. I thought of it was more going to be like the Bear movie, but I wanted to make it actual, you add actual lemurs in it, and they actually existed around the time of the dinosaurs. So they actually located a guy who trains them. However, though, they had help on, different movies. So a couple months after auditioning the lemurs to portray Siri and of course creating visual developments, Elliot's visions also fell into development hell, which of course Smith stated the thing that ultimately killed is that Disney knew that Jurassic Park was coming along pretty well, and they got done, was being done digitally. So they figured maybe they could wait until they could do it digitally. So of course in late 1994, Walt Disney, feature animation began development of the new project by shooting various tests, placing computer-generated characters and miniature backdrops, and the idea of basically using the backgrounds runs rejected by the earlier proof concepts of animation tests. They were completed sometime in March of 1996. So, of course, they ended up deciding to, take more time to do so. And, they had like a lot of, concepts. They had like different characters, like such as Noah. And of course, the dinosaur, the main one, they were originally going to name Noah, Chain, or Adam, but they were renamed Aladar, Kron, and Zinni later on. It was, they had, ideas for different names for different characters and that. So it was actually one thing I'm definitely gonna say. It was, yeah, that was definitely the reason why, it just went, you know, but of course, with that being the case, and with that being said, and of course, the film was a very big success, although it was mixed with critics and that. So they of course had different interactions with this. So of course, they released a video game based on the game, so movie. So for Dreamcast, PlayStation, PC, Game Boy Color. So yeah, with that being the case, it's similar to how they did with Toys, The Lion King, like the original. Disney began promoting the rollout by attaching teaser trailers consisting entirely of the film's opening scene with a theatrical release, kind of like how they did with Toy Story 2. And the same trailer was also included because of the video release of Tarzan and the Walt Disney Gold Classic Collection release of the Aristocats. The second trailer was eventually released in March and attached to be the theatrical release of, Road du Eldorado, which I might consider maybe talking about that movie. The promote for the release of Dinosaur in the Animal Kingdom, there is a theme park ride called Countdown to Extinction, was renamed after, the film. Now, its plot, in which had promotedly featured, Iguanodon and Carnotaurus, which was mildly altered that the Iguanodon is especially meant to be Aladar, the fam's protagonist, and the plot of the ride is how the traveling through time to a point where the impact in the meteor that caused the extinction of, Eva and dinosaurs to bring Aladar back to the present and save his life. So, yeah, it's actually pretty neat that they actually have a ride based on it. So it's pretty awesome for Dinosaur to have it's one part of the park of Disney World. I've never been to Disney World, by the way, so I do plan to go there hopefully someday, but I'm not really sure when. Probably when the pandemic ends. So Dinosaur was eventually released on VHS and DVD of January 30th of 2001, and it was also released on 2-disc collector's edition that same day in December. They have Variety reported that it was the fourth best-selling home release of the year, selling a million copies. Of course, it was released on VHS in 2002, and the film was released on Blu-ray with the original widescreen presentation sometime in around September of 2006, becoming the first animated film to release on that format, and it was re-released on Blu-ray sometime around 2011. So, of course, the movie was like a big success when they got nominated by Best Rewards and a lot of that. It was actually pretty interesting that they were originally going to, have it to be more very dark and, scary. But if they went with what they originally were going to do, it would most likely not be, for kids. It would most likely not be, a kid-friendly movie. But I'm kind of glad we got this movie because how they originally was going to plan was like having everyone die at the end. A lot of people were kind of against that. Even if they did that, they would probably most likely get, backlash. They would most likely get backlash with, the whole, killing everyone off afterwards and that. So that would most likely be the case if they were gonna sit there and, well, do that. But I'm glad they didn't do that, and I'm glad we got the movie how the movie went. It's a pretty good movie from when I was a kid. I remember this movie being a pretty interesting concept for what it is. It's a pretty good movie, and if you guys have, seen this movie, on VHS or DVD, you probably remember, this movie back when you were a kid. So, with that being the case, I actually remembered liking this story. So, it's actually a pretty good one for what it is. It's a really well made story. It's got a really good concept. It's really well made. It's pretty interesting for what it is. It's a really good concept for what it is. And, to be honest, I actually liked this movie back when I was a kid. Now, I remember I did have it on VHS at one point, but I think it's still, I think I gave it away or something because I can't seem to find it. But if you guys happen to, well, you could definitely say, if you guys happen to know where it is or something, I would like to hear what you guys have to say. So, with that being the case and with that being said, and I'm going to sit here and say this right now, this is just my opinion on the movie, and if you happen to disagree with me, that is totally fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these. Well, you could definitely say this movie, and it's just my opinion. If you don't like this movie, that's fine. If you like this movie, that's fine too. So, with that being the case, I actually give this movie a 10 out of 10. It's a pretty good CGI animated film, and I think this is actually one of Disney's very first animated CGI films that they ever made. So, the reason why I like this is because it kind of gives me Jurassic Park vibes in this, which is the one of the reasons why I really do like how, the concept of it went out. It was awesome, very well made. There was definitely a lot of time and effort into it. So, with that being the case and with that being said, what did you guys think about this movie? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what would you have done personally to help make this movie a lot better? Feel free to leave me what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so then you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, I'll be catching you all in the next video. Thank you so much again. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. So, peace out. And with that being the case, and with that being said, there's no outro. If I said outro, people, there's no outro for these, series. I do apologize. I don't know why I keep messing up like that. I just keep messing it up. I don't know why, but I just do. So with that being said, I'll see you all in the next video. So, peace out, everyone.